Hey guys, it's Spaces Sims, and we are back with more Virche Epic Lycoris, continuing Onko's route. We've no more choices. We should be at the end. We're about to go into the main action, so I hope we're wrapping this up, or we're getting to the point where it's gonna wrap up. I mean, that sounds bad now, because now things have been happening the last couple of hours, but I think it's just we spend so long doing nothing that let's get it on. Let's wrap this up. Let's have our romance and be done with it. You know what I mean? But anyway, the next morning, our plan was set into motion. Doing our best not to show our true motives, we hid in an alley near Cernival, acting like we were here to gather information. I don't know if that's less shady. I mean, slightly, but I don't know if that makes you, look good. We're just in an alley pretending we're just poking around, poking our noses where it doesn't belong, as opposed to gonna bust in. I'm still either way, you're shady. Okay. Our plan was to make noise and get arrested by the royal guard that was patrolling the area. Okay. You wanna look shady. Good, got it, okay. Once we received contact from Cyan, we'd carry out our plan without delay. As Uncle and I were hiding in the alley, I went through the plan many times in my head. I won't fail. I can't fail. For the sake of Adolphe and Nadia, and for the sake of all those helping us, I won't fail. Naturally, under pressure, I held my hands together as if in prayer over my chest. Dear princess. And Anko took them in his hands, holding them to reassure me. Anko? What the fuck? Oh my god, I didn't realize that the background sound was so freaking loud. Hold on. I was like, why is that so loud? Holy shit. Are you frightened? We have no idea what they'll do to us when we're arrested and detained. He was asking me to confirm, and I did my best to say I wasn't. As your partner, I must have changed a little from when I used to be a crybaby because I met you. So this isn't the time to be scared. Uncle smiled and held my hands more tightly. My dear princess, it is true that you've become a stronger person. I'm proud of you for that. However, wishing for more courage is not something bad at all. It's okay to be scared. No matter how much you tremble or cry, you can turn your fear and tears into kindness. Otherwise, would you choose to kill yourself among the Lycoris out of fear of pushing loss onto others? Wait. Would you choose to kill yourself among the Lycoris out of fear of pushing loss onto others? Killing myself would be pushing loss onto others, though. So, Unko, I turned my weakness into a strength. The moment I heard Unko's kind words, my body began to tremble. What if they killed me when they arrested me and I ended up being completely useless? Or if, after bringing us to the Institute, Adolphe had already been experimented on? Those worries began to well up in my chest one by one. You can't help if they've already experimented or started experimenting on Adolphe. You can only stop going forward, and it wouldn't be your fault if they started experimenting on him, you know? Uncle, you're being too easy on me. This is a moment when you need to scold me so I can compose myself. What? That would be the behavior of a criminal. There's no need for me to go out of my way to act like one. It'd be too bold of you to say. I was still afraid, but thanks to Unco's words, I was no longer nervous. Move forward with the plan. As if he was waiting for that, Cyan's signal was received. He's listening to the whole thing and are you done having your romantic moment so we can fucking go on with this? Cyan, stop being a cold-hearted bastard. And just let me love you, goddammit. After taking a deep breath, let's go and bring Adolphe home. No matter how scared I was, Unco would be by my side. And Nadia, don't forget. And Lucas, because, our plan was a success. I, the Lycoris saint, and Anko, the reviled death who kidnapped me, were brought into the castle. I was like, brought into the castle? I was going to say castle. I don't know why I was thinking case, and then I listen, I can't read, we know this. I was separated from Anko and led to the castle's audience room. The royal family that had started all of this looked down at me from ornate chairs as I was forced to kneel before them.
So this is the Lycoris saint that our supporter mentioned. An ordinary girl apart from the hair color, it seems.
I looked at everyone with caution. From their demeanor and the tone of their voice, even I could understand that their announcement was just a lie. Father, this fake flower saint is the reason we'll all be able to have immortal bodies. Should you at least show her some fake gratitude to match? Her voice sounded awfully familiar. I looked up to see a woman with a veil over her face sitting next to the man I believed was the king. Her voice sounding awfully familiar, are you trying to... well, like, they're related, so she could have a similar... But, well, I guess you're trying to say, like, she sounds like Salome, right? Because they are related, but you might look like each other, but I don't think I've ever really heard an instance where... I mean, you have, like, oh, you sound like... I thought you were someone in your direct family, but not like your cousin. Or I don't think any of my nieces sound like me, have my actual... You know what I mean? Like, so that's, like, a weird... I mean, like, your vocal cords are part of your body, but there's a lot of... You could be a chain smoker, and that's going to fuck up your voice. You know what I mean? So it's, like, it's just a little odd that, like, we are trying to insinuate here, wow, she sounds just like Salome, and that's how I put it together. It's a really odd thing, but I mean, like, what else were they really going to do if she's got a veil over her face? But unless Salome's killed her and taken over, and that's why she's wearing a veil, and she's disguised as her, then I could give you that. Then I'd be like, that's why she sounds the same, but whatever, I don't know. I don't really remember. I know we had a scene where we were brought in front of them and they captured us as the Lycoris saint at one point, but I don't really remember what happened because it wasn't important. Her voice sounded the same as someone I knew very well. No, it can't be possible. She didn't notice me looking at her as she giggled elegantly.
Now then, Lycoris saint, you will have the honor of serving us so that we can finally overcome death without aging.
The king brought out a book. The music is so dramatically loud in my fucking ear. Holy cow. I know I turned it down, but, like, obviously I did not turn my sound down. And it's just like, duh! He then went on to tell me the unreasonable fate he had in store for me. It was a journal left behind by the drifter, which they had robbed from a certain family. Flowers in the whatever family, such as the Higginbona and Lycorises, possessed a biochemical that caused allelopathy. Listen, I can barely muddle through allelopathy, let alone emerald, and then I can't do the rest of it, so forget it. This suppressed nearby plant growth and kept away pests and harmful microorganisms. There was also a unique effect that attracted specific compounds from the soil in the air. In other words, the Lycorises weren't flowers of misfortune at all. Their allelopathic effect actually protected the country from toxins, which were the true source of the curse. Okay, so at least they're not completely stupid. They're douche canoes, but at least they comprehend what's in the book, or Dalit told them, and that's, yeah. The flowers are protecting the country by absorbing toxins found in the soil?
Indeed, and you're unique in that you were born in that black field of flowers. In other words, similar to the Lycorises, you were born with the allelopathic power to absorb toxins from the soil.
How do they know this, though? Because that's not in that book, and Dalit didn't get any of our blood, and the only reason this ever came out in any of the other routes and any of the other in the main game, right, was because Cyan did an experiment or took our blood and was like, wait a minute. Like, they had no way to fucking know this otherwise. Nobody even put that together without doing a test and looking and going, wait. So, like, they've never been able to do those tests on us in this one. So they just, like, pieced it together. I'm calling bullshit. Listen. Listen. I have been reading a series of books, and I don't know if I mentioned that in this the other day. The last time we played, it's a Monday now, so I haven't played for a couple days. Or in something else. But like, all the characters are all written well except for one character that the authors clearly want to fuck. Like, which is just gross. And they wrote her in there as the most special, perfect girl that ever existed and everything. And then, like, just like, do you need someone who can, like, you know, do maintenance on tanks? Instantaneous. She knows how to do it. Despite the fact I've never seen a tank and doesn't even know what one is, basically. It's like that. And, like, you get that from, like, when you're reading, like, a, you know, fantasy novel, usually young adult novels, but also even adult ones do that with, like, the main character is, like, the super special perfect and the most special that ever specialed. And, like, all the boys want them and, like, whatever. And that's, like, your main character. And you're like, yeah, it's a little eye roll worthy and a little cringy. But, like, yeah, but I mean, like, that's what we come for. You're like, it's basically like Harry Potter, the most special boy that ever lived. And he's, like, the only one that can stop. You know what I mean? It's, like, shit like that. You're like, yeah, okay, sure. Every Otome game, we're the most special. And all the boys like us. Yeah, that's what we're here for. You know what I mean? That's what you're here for. This is a side character that they're trying to make more a main character, and you know how much I hate that. I don't know if I've explained how much I hate that, but that's why Persona 5 Royal pisses me off so much. Because you put Kasumi in there, and she's the most special, perfect girl that ever fucking existed, and we're all supposed to love her. And it's like, all the other characters were well-rounded and likable, but also had traits that you were like, what an ass! But she's like the most perfect special girl, like whatever, and she's more main character than Joker, and it's like so fucking annoying. And that's what they do with this character. But it's shit like, and so my bullshit meter is like from reading these books, and I'm like, oh, this character had to spend years learning this, but she picked it up in a matter of seconds, and it's like, bull fucking shit. And it's so annoying, and I'm so annoyed with it that then now my bullshit meter is like, fuck that shit, I'm not believing it. So that's why I'm annoyed with this now, because bullshit. You haven't done any tests on me. Nobody has looked. Nobody has any that you've never given us any reason for me to believe that you would have figured this fucking shit out. Aside from we did in the main game and we're just whatever. But it's still annoying. Like, with the amount of we have completely replayed the first game consistently, boringly, and then you're coming here and you're like, yeah, we know. How? No, don't worry about it. You made me sit through hours upon hours of, like, being bored, getting nowhere, and now at the end, you're not even gonna, then you're just, listen, I know this is my own fault for asking for it in a way. I was like, wrap it up, give me explanations, bird. Stop fucking biting my neck. I'm not happy right now, and you are a bad bird. You stop biting. That is not nice. It's because he sits and his dagger toes have caused like bumps and like a little bit of a rash on my fucking neckline, like my neck. So then he sits there and he sees it and he bites at them and he gets a tiny little beak and it's super fucking sharp and painful. And it's like, stop it. Like, I don't know why you do this and why you're obsessed with doing. I have my sweater pulled up basically to my fucking ears and he is still pulling it down to bite me. You're being a jerk. And I don't appreciate it. I'm already mad because this game, well, first of all, the book series that I'm reading is pissing me off. I know. Why do I keep reading it? Because I bought all of the other books and the entire series used before I knew this character was a thing. And if I had known, maybe I wouldn't have wasted my money. I bought them used, so they weren't that expensive. But still, I just can't stop being mad about it. But now, like, my bullshit meter is, like, off the charts where now I'm, like, calling bullshit out on this game. Where I'm like, no, bullshit. You have no reason to know this. Now I'm mad. And then the bird's biting me, so you're very mean. She's very mean. I love you, but you're mean. But anyway, bullshit. They've never done any tests to know this, so there is no fucking reason for them to know this.
This was made clear when we examined your blood. You coughed on the ground that Boro brought back to us.
Okay. All right, now they explained it. I'll go sit in a corner. All right. I just jumped the gun and was like, you have no reason to believe this. Boro brought back the blood. Son of a bitch. And I just bitched about this for like 10 minutes. And now you, okay. Yeah, all right, all right. I jumped the gun and I was being an asshole to the game because of the book series that I'm reading that pissed me off, and so I should not have taken it out on the game. I will take it out on you for biting me, though, because you're being a jerk. Stop it. What? I love you, but you're being a big fat jerk. You don't like it when I try to help you get your pin feathers out and you go, and you scream in my ear. You don't like it, so stop biting me. I haven't been trying to help you with pin feathers because you scream. Yeah, you want me to scream and bite you? Next time you bite me, I'm going to scream in your ear. The most high-pitched blood current, and I'm going to bite you. Ah, I'm going to bite you. I bite you. I'm not biting the bird. You're so mean. Oh, dear God. Spacey's just being a big fat asshole today. Okay, whatever. Whatever. Anyway, I'm entitled to be a big fat asshole once in a while. At least I recognize it. Anyway. With that, the man pulled out what looked like a medical file from the hospital that contained information about my parents. Okay, well, that we knew we had. It said they committed suicide in the Lycoris field while my mother was pregnant with me. He calmly read from my file that my parents were weak in health and that I was born with mutated genes due to my environment.
By using your power, it'll be possible for us to remove the toxins contaminating our genes, or so our resident expert says.
Me? I'm supposed to be like a Lycoris Noirge that weakens the effects of the curse?
Indeed, I was surprised by the discovery myself. To think that our savior would be born in the same place where we disposed of that abominable woman.
The young king laughed heartily, saying that I was a human Lycoris Noirge. So the reason those around me died from the curse, and the reason Eve's face was burnt in that fire, everything, it was all because of my ability to absorb and emit toxins just by breathing. Science had proven that I was death. That alone was a truth horrible enough to make me want to kill myself, but I'm too in love with Anko to do it. Good for us. She didn't say that, but my mind stopped short of madness. I needed to restrain myself so that Adolphe would remain safe as a hostage, and because a certain doubt came to mind. These people, none of them seemed surprised or concerned when that book was read and the truth behind the curse was made known. On the contrary, they understood everything. It was as if they knew every part of the book already and simply recited from it as though it was nothing special. Suddenly, the image of what the Queen left behind in that diary returned to mind.
You should feel honored, girl.
Yeah, okay, yeah, oh yeah, alright, whatever, douche canoe king.
You and the undead monster will both serve as the foundation for fulfilling our cherished wish of eternal life and youth.
The curse had been connected to the royal family from the very beginning. Then they continued telling me their plans, which is good. Let them villain monologue. How they wanted to get rid of Cyan and return to having absolute power. The results of breaking the curse were going to be reserved for the royal family only. They were keeping the curse to use as a weapon to instill fear into the citizens and force them into complete obedience. Too bad you don't have cell phones or like a way to record this, you know, put it up on TikTok or some shit. I'm just Instagram out there somewhere, upload it to YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Further, in order to create the perfect immortal life form, one much more permanent than humans or relivers. They decided to create a homunculus which carried false memories that would then become the new genius to replace Cyan. Oh, Mathis is the new Cyan! I just want to write books. I don't want to create people. That's just, I mean, yes, I do, but like in book form, not in real flesh and blood. That's just weird. That genius would then create an enhanced vessel for life through genetic mutation.
However, this still required an element of a miracle, so our progress came to a halt. But things took a drastic turn after you summoned that immortal monster. With that monster's flesh and blood, we can create bodies impervious to the curse that will never perish. There was only one obstacle remaining. Overcoming the toxic genetic contamination, which will be accomplished through your sacrifice.
Oh, wait, was I supposed to be, was that that princess the whole time? Oh, that was the princess the whole time. Oh, no, the king and then switched to the princess. Whoops, I'm sorry, I was just reading it like the king, whatever. We can now retain our memories and emotions. We can even retain the fear of death that we felt with the loss of reliver technology. Well, yeah, but you don't have those now, so you can't retain anything that you don't already have. The memory bank experiments done on those test subjects will make it possible for us to transfer emotions. What do you think you're doing? What do you think you're doing? What? You can climb up on my knee. I was teasing you. You just look suspicious. You don't think you're being suspicious. You better not be going to poop on me. You have a ways to go before potty break times. And besides, you know where your perch is. You could go fly over there. He like climbed down my thing and was going to climb up because I put my knee up. And then when I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, and he'd start to move again. And every time I said he'd like back up, like, what? You see, you understand. You understand mommy's tense voice, like, don't you do those things. And yet you keep doing these things. You think you can do these things, Nemo, but you can't. You could go sit up on my knee. It's fine. Do you want snugs? Want me to put my hand here for your snugs? Yeah? Wait, what? Oh, you want petties? You want boobies? What do you want? Ooh. You could go up there. I was only teasing you. I just teasing you. Why are you looking at me like you think I just threaten to beat you sometimes. I grab you, Beak. I get you, Beak. I give you beaky rubs. Oh, you're no dilly. Oh, now you're getting bitey and feisty. Now you're mean. Now you're being nasty, bird. Now you're being nasty, boy. This I don't mind because I'm instigating. I'm grabbing your beak and I'm giving you beak rubs and I'm like poking at you and petting you when you don't want to be petted. Touching your toes. So now you biting me is one thing. You sitting there on my shoulder and biting me with the sharpest point of your beak and making the tiny little bites is very painful. And I keep telling you no. You need to learn what no means. You look a little raggedy right now. I know you're molten. You look a little... You do look raggedy. You're starting to look your age. You're starting to look old. You don't have the bright eyes that little baby birds have. You don't. You have a wizened old soul. You can tell when birds are babies. Not obviously because, like, but I mean when they have full feathers and everything, because their eyes are just ginormous orbs that literally look like all the connections and the wiring isn't completely done inside their brains. They're just like, there's just literally something in a bird's eyes that you were like, everything is not in place in there. You do all the wiring's not done. The connections are not fully made. You're a little derpy. And then there's something that changes when they get older, and you're like, now all the wiring's done, and you have a wise old soul. Yes, you do. Yes, as wise as you can possibly be for being an idiot sometimes. Sometimes you're kind of stupid. No, but you're a smart boy. Look at you. Oh, you're like getting petted. Okay. Just don't shriek and bite me.
We have everything in our hands now.
I know you got a lot of pin feathers, Bunny.
Once we achieve eternal youth in life, we'll never again be threatened by any genius that may be born in the future.
Which is unfortunate. Oh, that's just what we need. Idiots running the country who hate smart people who can be like, that's not how science works.
Heretic, burn the witch!
Yeah, all right. Okay, let's see where this is going. Eternal youth in life, the ability to never age or die, a form of technology that the Revopois family seeks to establish by creating a new species of humans through genetic engineering, but only reserved for them. Yep, typical rich people. This is everything wrong with rich people. I'm not saying every rich person, but I'm just saying all the wrong things. This right here.
Now that we have the Drifter, the Lycoris princess, and that immortal man, all that's left to do is kill Cyan, and the right to rule this country will be ours forever.
I like how the fact that their plan hinges on one mortal genius man. He's not, I mean, I'm sure he's technically would be rich as fuck because he's, created this technology, but they're like just afraid of one man of science. They're like, we have to kill him otherwise. I just love it. It's kind of funny. And you're never going to get the come up. You're never going to get the one up on Cyan. Well, that's not true. Lucas did kill him in that one ending, but.
Glory to the Revopois family! Even if we're killed, we'll not die. We'll become the most supreme existence the world has ever seen.
It's painful because it's like so pertinent and so real. Like, and this happened so many times over in history, hasn't it? Well, not the like becoming immortal, but just the general douchebaggery. We had prepared for the worst, but they separated me from Spacey after all. Of course, there was no way they would suddenly start testing on her, but with the Noirge family's diary being stolen, they would surely start by telling her of her true nature, causing her much despair. As a result, if that were to happen again, no, it'll be okay. I need to believe in my dear princess, who is declared to stay alive for my wishes. Spacey would not die. I would not let her die. It was also an absolute requirement that we save the man, since he was one of the reasons for her to stay alive. What? I was trying to sneak some of those pin feathers. You got so many of them. Look, I groomed myself today. We cut our hair. We did, because our hair was getting very long. It was nice to be long, but it was getting all knotty and gross and whatever. So we were like, fuck this shit. We took a shower and we were like, forget it. I'm chopping like 8 inches off my damn hair. My hair was like down to my waist. But it was like, like when it gets really long, it gets kind of straight. Like you've got like the 3 tendrils of hair that are like long and then the rest of it, you know what I mean? Because it like doesn't grow out straight across, it like tapers. So like the longest parts were basically down to my waist, but like it's also so damaged from having bleached it a long ass time ago. But like I was like, and I'm so tired of it just being a knot and falling out constantly and breaking. So I'm like, I didn't cut all the bleached ends off because then I would have like a bob haircut. And I don't think I can successfully cut that. This was just like just doing a butterfly cut on myself. And I'm like, yeah, it looks pretty good. Whatever. Doesn't matter if it's perfect. I wear my hair up 98% of the time. So, but I cut my hair, so we need to preen your feathers too. That's what preening your feathers is all about. You watched me, and now it's time for me to help you. You don't want to help, but you don't have a bird friend to help you. You don't. All right, I'll just cup you and hold you. Okay. He doesn't seem to be in the prison. Perhaps they have him in a laboratory trying to get information out of him. They handcuff my wrists, but I could get out of restraints like these by cutting off my hands at the wrist. Seems extreme, but we know they'll grow back. Without giving it a second thought, I looked around the area. I saw no signs of the Royal Guard or Society members. Most likely their hands were full while on alert for Cyan and the Corps. Who's saying, huh? Is there someone there? It seemed there was someone around. I could hear the voice of a young boy coming from the cell next to me. Oh, nope, don't believe it. It's Dahut, don't believe it. If my memory wasn't failing me, I knew who was on the other side. Dahut, was it? Why are you in here? He said he would investigate the Lycoris. Shouldn't he have returned to the Institute? Seems like it's for, what? It might seem like it's for a serious reason, but it really isn't serious at all. I do remember him actually pulling this shenanigans on us, like, before we knew he was the supporter. But it's kind of, like, funny that they kept it, The truth is, when I went to gather information on the Lycorises, members of the royal family suddenly appeared. They want to get rid of Cyan and ordered me to take over the Institute, but of course I declined, and they turned hostile and locked you up in this place. That's true. Anko doesn't know who Dahut is because Dahut didn't exist in his original timeline, I guess. Yeah, it was then that the royal family revealed their plans and the true nature of the Society of Exorcists. Now I'm waiting here for my execution. Oh, that's true, because we were down here, and then they take him away, and they execute him, and we're like, what? And then it's like, no. But it was like, no, I don't believe that. He's probably the mastermind. And then it was like, ha ha ha, I faked my own death. And we were like, yep. Yeah. I forget why he decided to fake his own death. There was a reason for it, but considering that, he was very calm about the situation. Well, no matter what they say, I have no intention of cooperating.
I'd lose my chance of saving Nadia and my mother if I did.
Your mother?
Oh, I haven't spoken about her to you. The truth is, I'm doing research on memory capacity to bring my mother, who died before she was backed up. My mother, much like Nadia, wished for a normal human existence that cherished one's only life and emotions. Even if I can't bring her back, if I can make the wish that she left for this world a reality.
I see. His wishes lined up with Spacey's, which gave me mixed emotions.
But I'd like to apologize. They went through my data and found out where the Noirs family's grave was located. They also learned what the Lycoris Noirs are capable of and even found out about Spacey.
There's no need to apologize. The way the royal family went about things was more sly than we expected. I kind of find it funny that Anko's believing this because, he's like, they found out about Spacey, but you weren't supposed to know about us, so you just kind of gave yourself away here by saying that, because now we know that the only reason they found out about me was through blood that Lucas brought back. But how would Dahud have known? And he's like, because of that it's my fault, basically. And it's like, well, I mean, yes, but also, unless that was from the original game where we had given a blood sample to Dahud and he figured it out and they just didn't bother to change the lines. But in this context, in this game, he basically just gave himself away a little bit. You know what I mean? On a different topic, do you know anything about the safety of that immature brat?
Are you talking about Adolphe? I haven't seen him, at least.
He also recalled not hearing that they had used him as a test subject.
They must have him jailed somewhere else, probably in Cyan's office, which is the most secure place here.
I see. Well, as long as he's still alive, we can still do something about it. The number of injuries didn't matter at this point.
By the way, this is the first time we've had the chance to properly talk like this. Anko, was it? Is it really true you're immortal?
Yes, I am the Watchman of Death from Hades. The wounds I suffer in this world quickly heal. I'm not affected by any illness. Even if my head was cut off, it would grow back after some time. Okay, well, here's the thing. So he just said, right, if his head's cut off, it grows back. But we know we had his head in a jar, and then when we took the head out of the jar, it grew a body. So theoretically, if he is saying, if you chop my head off, I'll grow a new head, but we know for a fact his head will grow a new body, he's like a starfish in that if you chop, he should, so what are the rules? Is that you have to have part of your spine in order to grow new bits? Because, like, with a starfish, if you cut off its leg, it'll grow a new leg, but that leg doesn't grow a new starfish. You have to cut it, it's cut through the center. If you cut a starfish in half, it will turn into 2 new starfish. Because it's about the center area of the starfish. That's where, whatever. So, you take a starfish and you, cut it down the middle into wedges like a pizza. You cut 5 little pieces, it's going to turn into 5 starfish. So, I'm pretty sure that's true. That's what I've always heard, because I was like, they eat, is it clams or oysters? Whatever, and then I'm assuming it's oysters, because oyster fishermen just, clam fishermen, whatever. But, would always, chop them up so that to kill them, but that doesn't actually kill them. They just spurt. So if you cut them in half, you're like, it doesn't kill them. You just get 2. So you were just making your problem worse with the starfish. But I know it's like a lizard's tail. If you chop off a lizard's tail, it'll grow its tail back. But so I know if you chop a leg off, it'll grow back. But I think it's because of, so again, if you chop it in half, you end up with 2. So Anko is like a starfish in this respect. So but what is it? Because, if his head grows back from on his body, then wouldn't his body grows back from his head, then if you chop his head off, you could have 2 Ankos, theoretically. So, it must be the spine, I'm gonna guess. So if you were to chop his head off and then chop him off at the waist, then you could essentially end up with 3 Ankos. So
we could really fuck this joint up by just chopping up Anko a little bit. I mean, they're throwing this out there, but they've done the reverse. They say one thing, but they do the other, so it leads you to believe that, like, I think when Anko was just a head, they used his body for, like, whatever, so there was no way for it to grow a head, but they leave it open, like, you could essentially have two Ankos running around here, depending on how you chop them up, so I'm just saying, like, I don't know if they thought about that. Wow, so Hades actually does exist. To be able to go through life without fear of injury or death must be really useful. Capucine, Orty would probably try to use your traits to create a new type of clone. He was so obsessed with the idea of creating the bride of his dreams that he genetically altered people in these cruel experiments. So just like blank, was it Capucine who put that immortality nonsense into the heads of the royal family? So just like, I mean, that could be Cyan. That could be Dahut, but you would say Dahut because but you don't know that. I mean, he was trying to figure out earlier, like, who the fuck is Dahut? So it's not like he's suspicious of that. So, If so, that was something we could use to our advantage. If we could somehow steal his eye and use it to disable the Institute's security. Dahut is an ally, but if I shared too much about our plan, it could be compromised at some point. Also, I don't know if you should trust him, because while I felt guilty about it, I would keep him in the dark for the time being. That's smart. Because I think he's down here to get information. After I finished sharing the minimum amount of information, we didn't have anything else to talk about, and silence followed. I didn't mind it too much as I waited for Spacey's return. Uncle, there's something I'd like to ask you. What do you honestly think of the goals I'm pursuing? Dahut, sitting in the cell next to mine, took this opportunity to ask me. He told me of his wishes to break the curse and to develop a treatment for Nadia, which he had told Spacey and the others. What do I think? If there's a chance of realizing it, or if it's a realistic goal, reviving my mother, furthering liver memory capacity, breaking the curse, being able to cure Nadia, it's like that's what we want without sacrificing and killing everybody to do it. Even I've come to terms that it might be too greedy to pursue, or too inefficient. I could imagine him counting these reasons on his fingers as he said them. As a result of my greed, my caution toward the royal family grew thin, and I ended up captured and jailed like this. I see. That might have been the truth, but I didn't want to deny his kindness as he worked to break the curse. For that reason, I will not tell you to choose one while abandoning the others, but you must have at least decided which one to prioritize. I also have something I wish to protect above all else, and I'll do anything in my power for that purpose. Which of your goals do you wish to achieve the most? That's a difficult question. They're all important to me, and I don't think I'd be able to put one over the others. But if I had to choose the most important one, it'd be... We're conducting an inspection. Step forward. I received an order from the Royal Guard and was forced out of my cell. When I peered into the cell next to mine, Dahut was quietly smiling. Let's continue our secret conversation soon. I'd like to hear about the thing you hold dear next time, Anko. Think about what I told you. The more allies we have, the better. I hope to be able to save him once the attack starts. The fact that you're trusting him makes me uncomfortable. If Spacey knew he was locked up here, there was no doubt that's what she would want. I mean, to be fair, though, we want the same things Dahut wants. It's just like we're not going to kill other people to get it. So it's kind of like we want to do those things too, but there's ways to do them and probably work with Cyan to be able to do them. And like now that it's come to this, Cyan maybe will have to learn how to be
you know, a little more amenable to, compromise. After my audience with the royal family, I was taken to the laboratory instead of the cell they locked Anko in. My leg is covered in bird dandruff from all your pin feathers and your preening. Why, how good to see you and find health, beautiful princess of the Lycoris. I've been waiting so long to see you again. Conversely, he was the person I wanted to see the least. I mean, he's the person I want to see the most if I get to kick him in the face. But if I don't get to kick him in the face, then yeah, person I want to see the least. He was standing in the middle of the laboratory as if he owned the place. It's insulting because Cyan owns the place. Orty, what are you doing here? Oh, and here I thought you were going to treat me with respect like before when you called me Dr. Capucine. The fact you know my real name means... I heard everything about you, including the crimes you've committed. You're a sick fuck. And now that you mention it, you and the others were investigating the mysterious deaths. So that's how you arrived at my true identity, then. It was actually Cyan who had investigated him, but if I said that, they'd learn I was cooperating with him. His followers were standing around me as I fell silent. Feels like the Society of Exorcists has taken over the Institute. That's not very far from the truth. I am the current head of this facility now. Those royal family fools are planning to make a homunculus of Cyan, but... my genius is well beyond what the fake will be capable of. I'll be taking control of this country's technology. I like how you're already so bitchy about the fact that Cyan's better than you, that you're like, I'll be smarter than that homunculus. No, even a homunculus will be smarter than you. But I mean, it's basically because it's going to be a clone of Cyan that they can control, so yeah, given. It's already going to be smarter than you, sweetie. To be fair, if that homunculus was a half-formed just lump of flesh that would just screaming and rolling over with like a couple of hairs and some teeth sticking out of it, like the most horrible abomination, and it still probably be smarter than you, sweetie. Okay, like Capucine's not an idiot, but he's such a twat that just saying something like that to him would literally like break his brain, and then we could kick him in the face. I just want to kick him in the face. I didn't want to listen to him gloat. I needed to get more information from him. Oh, you know what? Okay, now in this case, you got to stroke his ego and tell him how wonderful and perfect and genius and beautiful he is, and then I'll tell you everything. Where are Lucas, Nadia, and Adolphe? Capucine's eyes widened as if he didn't expect me to ask that question. Nadia and Adolphe aside, I'm surprised you still care for that bloodthirsty killer. Just answer me. Capucine laughed, hearing me try to keep up a strong front. You don't need to worry about Nadia. Her beautiful genes make her worthy of becoming my future bride. I have her in a secure place with a person I fully trust. A chill ran down my spine at the thought that this man was targeting Nadia to satisfy his disgusting tastes. Yeah. What about Lucas and Adolphe? I have no obligation to tell you. There are precious power and resources. The key is to flip this ongoing situation. As expected, he didn't have his guard lowered enough to freely tell me where they were. They will if you kick him in the face and then step on his balls. Oh, he'll scream like a little bitch and he'll tell you. But, we don't know how to kick him in the face. We should have had a scene where we learned how to kick ass from Spinel. I'm just saying, like, they put her in here and we were like, I want to be tough like her. We should have had that montage. They should have put that. Now, yes, we're not going to become like the most special girl that ever existed and be able to totally kick ass. We're going to need other people to do it. But we'd be able to defend ourselves a little and take him by surprise. You know what I mean? Just be able to get one swift kick in, knee him in the nuts, and then he'd never know what was coming. And, Yeah, no, we're not going to be able to take down the 20 guards in the room, but, but just a little one-up on Capucine, just a little bit. Just a little bit. Would have been good. That's all I'm saying. However, as I became more cautious, his expression completely changed in front of me. Do you know the whereabouts of the third drifter? That barbaric woman? You're like, who? Just pretend you don't know. The third drifter who came after Adolphe. Are you talking about Spinel? Yes. I never want to see her again, but But she's a valuable test subject as well. The royal family has been pestering me to secure her as a spare just in case. I don't know where she is. I lost sight of her as I was running away.
You'd be like, she's probably at the bar, dumbass.
I I see. He looked relieved despite not getting the answer he was after. It seemed like he couldn't stand her at all. Speaking of which, Spinel regularly visited Capucine's hospital, didn't she? So much had happened since then, so I didn't have the chance to ask why. It'd be really good if I don't know why I think she's interested in you because she thinks you're sus as fuck. Okay, her radar was going off. Her, like, sus radar was going off. But, like, for all the shit Capucine's done, you're like, Spinel, if you want to torture him, just lock him in a cage and torture him all you want. And then you kind of want that ending for Capucine, don't you? I just want to be able to torture him, okay? I'm just saying, okay? The bloodthirsty psychopath in me just wants to take all my anger out on everything in the world on Capucine because he deserves it. But, like, if Spinel was like, I'm going to keep him as a pet, and she put him in a cage and just tortured him, yeah, I could get behind that. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. That'd be great. You know. Oh, and then especially when he was ready to die, we just bring him back in a reliver body and then shove him back in the cage, and she keeps torturing him for eternity. And he would always remember the torture. Yeah, it'd be great. Be amazing, especially with the reliver technology that we're going to install and invent and everything, where, like, they remember the pain and the agony and the fear. Oh, it'll be a great time. Just forever and ever and ever. Torturing Capucine for eternity. Yeah, it's his own personal hell. I like it. I like where this is going. Okay. I'm sure that's not where this is going, but, like, I'm just going to pretend because it makes me feel better. Capucine regained his composure and turned his gaze back to me. There's still some time before I use you for my experiments. In the meantime, you're free to pass the time in the quarantine room I've prepared for you. You're not going to throw me in a cell? Of course not. We can't mistreat the beautiful body that possesses the Lycoris genes. It would also be troublesome if you schemed a way to escape with that immortal man. Things weren't going to be straightforward after all. You're like, damn Capucine actually being somewhat intelligent. Still dumb as fuck, but after removing my handcuffs, they left me in a place called the quarantine room. Perhaps because it wasn't normally used, there were no signs of other people in it. No doubt there was a guard standing in front of the door. It was also possible they were watching me through technology somehow. If that were the case, there was no way I could blatantly use the transmitter I had brought in. If so, I scrunched down on the bed and lightly tapped the transmitter that was hidden under my clothes. When I did so, I heard the noise that sounded like a sandstorm. You crawl under the bed. Spacey, did you make it inside safely? The voice that came through was Eve's. Perhaps because he sensed the situation I was in, he whispered when he talked. Yes, thankfully, but I've been separated from Unco. I also responded with my quietest whisper. I kept my gaze solely on the ground, doing my best not to look suspicious. Zion's busy with the preparations, so we'll explain the plan again to you. To disable the interior security system, you need to gain detector access from Zion's office. Director access, not detector access. Wow, I can read. I'd managed not to lose the lock of Zion's hair that I had brought with me. Do you think you'll be able to find an opening somehow and get in there? I'll do my best. I might have the chance to leave the room for my physical examination or when they prepare me for the experiments. Eve whispered in acknowledgement. Don't do anything rash. If something were to happen to you, Adolphe would be devastated. Yeah, I'll be sure to bring him back to you and the others. Glad to hear it. I know we can count on you. Eve cheerfully laughed to relieve my nervousness before cutting the connection. I sat up and carefully examined the inside of the room. It was obvious, but... Sorry, my nose itched and I had to put my remote down. I only got one hand again. Anko, who had always been by my side, isn't here with me. I'll have to break through my current situation all by myself. To be honest, I was still scared. But the thought of not being able to go back to the days when Adolphe and Anko were both with me was far more terrifying. Okay, so like in all the other parts things were happening and then we got in now we're just gonna go through, they're gonna drag out us being in here. That's kind of what I'm feeling. I mean, we had to get some back information and whatever, but I do feel like now they're gonna like drag out this scene, so we're still gonna be here forever. Since being captured, I pretended to be a timid girl and passed the days acting like I was sobbing and crying. I hoped that when the time came, I'd be able to outwit Capucine and his men, then escape. The plan was working. The guards outside showed signs they were becoming less alert. I took note of where Cyan's room was when I was taken to receive my physical exam. I still had the hair he entrusted me with. All that was left was to find an opening to break free and get inside his office. I was mentally preparing every day. Still, not knowing whether or not Unco and Lucas were safe was causing me a lot of worry.
Oh, Dr. Capucine's waiting for you.
This better be when we break away and do this. Because otherwise it's just going through the motion one and again and again and again, you know? I was taken by the royal guard who came in without giving me a chance to refuse. Ow, I was just petting you, Jesus, bird. I just had a physical exam yesterday. They drew enough blood samples that they shouldn't need any more for a while. As I entered the room, wondering why I was here, Capucine was standing in the center of the laboratory, just like yesterday. I'm sorry to have called for you during this stressful time, Miss Lycoris. What do you need from me? Are you finally starting your experiments, or... No, unfortunately not. There's something I really wanted to show you, so I called for you. As I examined Capucine's extremely pompous expression, a strange sound echoed and a chill ran down my spine. Yeah, it sounded gross. As I stood, confused by what was going on, the sound echoed again from the capsule before me. Ugh.
This is incredible. No matter how many times I scrape my skin off, it quickly grows back.
Ew!
This is a body fit for us. So this is what it feels like to be immortal.
I heard a familiar, arrogant voice and the sound of flesh swelling. Ugh, stop it! If I look closely, inside the capsule there seemed to be a man who had lost his original form as a human, laughing. What's going on? With a wide grin, Capucine ordered one of his followers to bring him a smaller capsule. In his hands, breathing out small air bubbles, was Unco's head. Unco's head in some kind of solution. Yeah. I somehow kept myself from screaming. Instead, Unco? I tried taking it from Capucine's hands, but I was restrained by another follower. As I was held back, I glared at the man standing before me. What did you do to Unco? What? My precious allies said they wanted to become immortals quickly, so I had him cooperate with the experiments ahead of you. But please be at ease. Though he looks like this, he's still alive. He really does have an amazing life force. I felt a real urge to murder Capucine for using Unco as a test subject like this. Use that. Breathe it in. And don't breathe it out, though. Keep breathing in the hatred and the desire to murder him, and then just hold it all in, snap his neck. At this very moment, if my allelopathy ability could bloom, I wish I could murder every last one of these men. Girl, yeah. This was the first time I'd ever felt so much malice toward a person. The man who obtained a warped immortality shouted with great joy inside the capsule.
If we utilize this power, not only can we control Arpichel, but the world will also be in our grasp. Eternal glory awaits us. There'll be no words marking the end of the Revapois family.
In the end, silence returned to the voice that had lost all sanity. My. Well, I did warn them that it was too early for the cell transplant. Well, I was able to get a good test this way. He had the weakest constitution of the royals, so I can't be blamed for the result. I'll have to ask them if I could use him for more testing. These cells still can't win against the toxins in the soil. I felt something terrible in my heart at Capucine, who spoke calmly about the result. He's no longer a human. Was this what they desired, to turn themselves into this disgusting form?
There's no need to be afraid, princess. At least you won't face the same fate. After all, you're the saint. You still have a duty to display your prestige to all the distressed citizens. In other words, did that mean my safety wasn't guaranteed afterward? Yeah, duh. She doesn't know that they're going to clone her and plant her. Was I called over so that they could instill fear in me and keep me from running away? As if they had accomplished their goal, I was let out of the laboratory. All you did was piss her off and make her want to stab you! Which is awesome, because she didn't want to kill you before, but now she does. And I'm like, good. I'm that dark force inside of her going, kill him. Kill. But just Capucine and whatever. Without being able to recover the tormented Anko, I won't forgive them for this. But I had to tightly suppress this anger. I need to concentrate on the plan. Now's time. If Anko was conscious, that was what he would tell me for sure. According to what Capucine said, in the coming days, I'd be brought outside to be deified as the Lycoris saint. If I could find an opportunity during that and sneak my way into Cyan's room... I'm so sorry, Anko. Please hold on a little longer. Adolphe and I will save you no matter what. Yeah, but Adolphe is also missing and like, you're taking too long to fucking move your ass, is all I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, a few days later, I mean, I know it's like but it's like, you're, I was here for like a week and then I was surprised that Anko was beheaded. Like, duh! It's not like they did it the same day. The day that I'd be presented as the Lycoris saint, soon to be martyred, had arrived. The main area in front of the Institute was open to the public so they could hear the royal family's speech. They used the same floating screens as in the Institute to make sure my image could be seen by the audience at the very back. In addition, the speech would be amplified throughout the entire country. I'd better double-check one more time. As soon as the speech was over, I was going to say that I felt sick from the tension and head down the route to the medical room. Once the Royal Guard soldiers and doctor went inside, I'd use Cyan's hair to activate the system and lock them inside. Then I'd disable the Institute's security. Once done, the troops led by Cyan would storm the Institute. Then I'd wait for backup, and once I met up with even the others, we'd head to release Anko and Adolphe. You're telling us the plan, but like you're going to tell us the plan as you're going through the plan. But like you could have just enacted the plan and kind of explained it as you went along instead of explaining it, then explain it as you go along. And because you could be like, well, the plan was I was supposed to do this, but but then this happened and whatever. You know what I mean? If something goes awry in it, but it's just like we're at that point. Like, okay, yeah, move it along. The Royal Guard would be focused on the security of the royal family, and Capucine would be announced as the new director. So the security shouldn't be as strict on me today. The plan's still easier said than done. One wrong move and I'd be putting Adolphe and Anko's lives at risk, so failure wasn't an option. All right, well, I'm going to stop here. We're like a minute or so under, but like, whatever. You know, the game gave me my comeuppance for me being like, I'm no five for this bullshit. Look, I have to go sit in the corner for 5 minutes for like getting all uppity on the game, and then the game explained exactly how that happened, like the next line, and I didn't click to read it. So that's me. Okay, whatever. I'll call myself out for being a big fat asshole. So now it's time for me to sit in the corner and whatever. But I will see you guys next time, and maybe we'll get more dramatics and things will actually start moving along again. Because, like, Look, we were doing good for a couple parts, and then this part was like, yeah, okay, anyway. Like, you know? But it is what it is. We'll hopefully get into the more dramatics and running and catching people and whatever. But then we're probably going to go through the underground tunnels and then meet up with a Dahood and then go through all that. So we really are going to be here forever. I love Anko, but like, we just didn't have to play the whole first game again. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus. So I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.